Welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. I'm glad you guys are here. Yesterday, I began an interview with my friend Phil Gungor. Phil and his dad, Mark Gungor, have been cruising around the country now for about 20 years doing a seminar called Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. The first time I ever heard it, I'm telling you what, I laughed myself silly. The reason I love it so much is because these guys are equal opportunity pokers. In other words, this is a marriage conference that your husband will love. It's not a marriage conference that focuses on singling anybody out. I think what you're going to see, especially if you come out the 16th and 17th of Friendly Planet and you join us here live for this event, I think what you're going to see is these guys really understand the heart of marriage. They understand God's heart for what makes a good marriage last. And today we're going to talk about some of those things. We're going to touch on a lot of subjects today. This is a fast-moving conversation that I thoroughly enjoyed. And so I hope you'll stick around for part 2 of my interview with Phil Gungor. I think you're going to be encouraged. What do you say to a guy who comes up to you and says, you know, my wife is just, she says that she feels like she's not being helped around the house, or she feels like I'm not. How do you, because there's a lot of men that listen to this, right? Mm-hmm. Who I know that their wives are, and I realize that there's not like here's a magic pill for your marriage and thank you for playing, the Phil Gungor. So have a great day. I understand, like, we're all different. And so we give, these are just generally true. Like, train up a child in the way she should go. When she's old, she's not going to depart. This is a generalization. It's not a promise. Right. Yeah. And so we're making generalizations, but talk to the guy who's in a place with his wife right now. And he's like, I feel like my wife's badgering me. I feel like my wife's, she says this, and maybe she doesn't have the tools, which is another reason why I'm so excited for you to come here and do your comedy weekend. I think it's going to be great because you're gonna soften them up with some humor and this bam right between the eyes. I can't wait. I'm here for it, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. If he comes to me, and it's a common thing that you'll hear. I will say this, sadly, most of the time the guy comes to me is when she's so sick of him, she's like about to walk out.
Yeah.
So first off, if you're a guy who ever has those questions, or you're dealing with things rough, go talk to someone. Go find some guy who seems like he's a successful husband. Let me talk to him and ask him these questions. Because usually
don't be an island.
Don't be an island, man. It's you got to look at it like taking care of anything. We've there's a book my dad and this lady wrote. Did a podcast with her for a while. It's called Treat Her Like a Truck.
Treat her like a truck?
Yeah. And it's we wrote one for the girls called Treat Him Like a Dog.
Wow.
And, and one of the things is, like you mentioned, like people don't have the tool set. When you think of practically what that tool set is, you realize people probably do have that tool set because they'll use it in another area of their life. So, for example, with a guy, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. You could talk to him and say, dude, if you got some truck, some car, and this thing needs to last for a while, right? You need this thing going 250,000 miles, no problem. Let's get to 300,000 miles. What is it that you have to do with that car? Well, I have to take care of it. I have to change the oil every 3,000 miles, whether it needs it or not.
If I hear a clanging noise, I address it. I don't ignore it.
I don't just turn up the radio. I don't put electrical tape over lights that pop on the dash. I check it out. And then it's like, okay, well, in the same way, your wife is that same way. When she starts making a funny noise, don't just turn up the radio so you don't have to hear her anymore. Guys want to just tune her out, You need to talk to her whether you think she needs it or not. And check in with her, see how she's doing. And then when it comes to helping out around the house, like, yeah, dude, help out around the house. Find out what it is that needs to be done and do it. Well, I think it should be done this way. If a guy's coming to me and asking that, and well, she wants it done one way, I want it done another. What should I do? I'd say get over yourself and just do it her way. It's like it's like caring less. That's my thing. There's some guys need to care less about certain things.
I'm going to care less. Yeah.
Because it's easier, happy wife, happy life. So if she wants it this way, that's fine. If she doesn't want your deer head on the wall and she wants something else, I mean, guys will get all grumpy, but it's like, dude, what do you care? It's just like,
is this the hill you want to die on?
Yes,
this
exactly.
is the one. This is the one. Yeah.
And what's interesting is, guys will put up that wall and they'll be stubborn for a while until she finally has it, right? Like the wife will oftentimes try to kind of be nice about it, try and be this or that. And if you get a guy who's real stubborn like that, you need to learn how to get into his face a little bit more. But if it's a guy that's coming to me and asking me those things, it's usually like, you need to do that. You need to do nice things to your wife all the time. You know, you think that, I'll do something really special for her. We talk about simple acts of kindness in the seminar, of how most men like to be efficient, you know, so they'd rather go all out for Christmas, get you something really fancy for Christmas, and then do nothing for 6 more months. They're into that. But when you have to tell them, I have to do something nice, like what,
in
every
January?
month?
Yeah.
Maybe every week, man. Every week. I gotta do something nice. Because in their head, they're thinking these giant things. And you think, no, how about this? How about you pick up your dirty underwear off the floor and put it where it's supposed to go?
Just put your cup in the dishwasher.
Put your cup in the dishwasher.
Simple.
You finish eating, just put it away. And you know, you're earning these little things. And that's how you got that girl to fall in love with you in the first place. So simple acts of kindness, choosing to be with her, giving her a little call, doing little nice things. You know, and a lot of guys, they think when they say I do, it means I'm done. And they're done. So you have to keep doing those little things in the same way that you have to keep doing the little tasks at work day in and day out. And you have to be professional in your job. There's a professionalism that comes with your marriage. So again, they use that tool in other areas of their lives. They just don't understand that translates into their marriage.
So good. Tell me some of the topics that you're going to touch on, because you're coming here. I'm super stoked. You're coming here to Vancouver,
yes,
to Friendly Planet, and you've never been here before, I don't think.
Not Vancouver, but I've been right around the area up there before.
Portland and
I've been to Portland.
Yeah,
yep.
You're not going to recognize Portland now. I would just say, you know,
that's what I hear.
Just skirt the city. That's what we
just
do.
Go around it.
Just go around it. Just take the 205. Just go around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I remember listening to Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. Like, one of the things that really stuck out to me was I just thought it was so funny how just talking about how this dude was complaining because his wife wasn't initiating sex. So he's the one who's always initiating it. And it was always him who was like, hey, baby, you know, how about tonight? Or how about now? Or whatever. And he's complaining, my wife never initiates sex. And your dad was like, well, does she respond when you initiate sex? Well, yeah, she does. Well, then why are you complaining? You know, he's like, I am the initiator. And it's okay.
I am the initiator.
Yeah, I am the initiator. And it's okay. If she's responding to you, then it seems to me like you're winning, right? And so maybe just reframing the conversation and how you're looking at what's actually happening inside your marriage.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Men and women both do it. You know, women might be more like, I think, why doesn't he help out more? And usually guys are, why doesn't she just jump on me? Why didn't she just ask me more? Yeah. And it's part of it's just not understanding it, or it's letting culture mess with you. You know, you watch TVs and movies and all those women can't wait to have sex, you know.
Right.
Or some of these guys might just be into the porn culture. Again, same thing. And it's like, you know that's not... You know that's not real, right?
Yeah, right.
Like
you know that's not real, right?
So, but
you know, you just set yourself up for failure, right? You just did. Yeah, like you did that. You set yourself up for like.
You'd also
totally
like it.
Fail.
Yeah, I'm sure most men would also love it if their bosses just paid them, and they didn't have to go to work.
Awesome.
Like, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
so no, just get over it. Like, so you have to be the initiator. That's fine, you know. And it's like. In the same way that I would tell, you know, a woman to, you know, you got to respect the man you can respect. In the same way I tell the guys, you need to be a lover to your wife. You need to be the lover.
Yeah.
You need to romance the girl. You need to learn how to romance the girl. And a lot of guys don't understand that. A lot of them treat sex like a toddler treats having to go to the bathroom, you know, where you don't hear about it until it's like literally, you know. And so that's why for so many women, it's like the only time their husband touches them and they know exactly what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And they start thinking they come down with COVID or something. Oh, sorry, babe. I think I'm sick. I'm probably out for the next 14 days.
I got man cold.
Yeah. But if the guy just learns how to, talk about slow roasting your woman. You got to take some time throughout the day. Most of those things, those romance things for her, are those simple acts of kindness.
Yeah, 100%.
Of being nice and helping her. And she's got a million things that she's doing, especially, you got 7 kids. Good Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're running a business at a home.
Yeah,
and if you've got this many and I got this stuff to do and I'm doing homeschool, I got these grades to do and I got this and that, da 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 da. And at the end of the day, well, there's still this laundry that needs to be done and this is a mess. And your husband's just sitting here, why am I not getting sex? What's going on? I'm sitting here. Like, dude, how about you go help her? Because when she doesn't feel stressed and she doesn't feel like things are going crazy, guess what? She's still that crazy woman you married years ago. But there's all that stuff gets busy in your life. So again, put in a little effort here, guys. You get it in everything else in your life. You get it. Mm-hmm. You wanna get stronger at the gym. You gotta go to the gym. You gotta lift the weights. And you don't do it just one time and then, I'm still not as strong as I was, or haven't I lost weight? Or at work.
It's so depressing too, because if you go to the gym and you work out, and maybe you even do it for 6 months or a year, and then something happens. You twist your ankle. You got a promotion at work or something happened. You couldn't get to the gym, and 3 months later, or 3 weeks later, you're like, "Why am I losing my muscle?" It's so depressing.
Completely.
But the fact of the matter is that the world is groaning under the weight of sin, and part of the groaning is happening in our own right. We gotta keep up. You gotta keep doing the thing. It's not gonna grow unless you continually pour into it.
We all have expiration dates.
Yeah. And in fact, it atrophies, right? I'm like, Jay and I are like, dude, because we have 4 grandkids now. And I think to myself, I'm looking at these kids. Our oldest grandson is 10. And I looked at my husband. I'm like, we are careening toward a nursing home. Look at us. We're careening toward this, right? So we're having these conversations like, oh, wow, the clock is ticking. Like, how could we squeeze the most out of the lemon before the expiration date, right? You gotta work.
Get in the gym. We start falling apart. Yeah, I figured it out after like my second surgery of my body falling apart. I'm like, I should probably find a trainer and get in shape.
Yeah, you're like, oh hey, everything they told me in high school PE class actually true.
Yeah, yep.
Except for the part about how men can be women. That part's not actually true at all. That's just a lie.
Oh gosh, that is true. Yeah.
What is even happening? All right, I derailed you. Tell us a little bit about Laugh Your Way to Marriage, Better Marriage, this couples comedy weekend that you're bringing right here to the great state of Washington.
Yeah. So a lot about like what we're talking about, really the heart about all of this is to really help husbands and wives understand each other a little bit more. It's pretty much majority is about communicating, understanding they're different, understand how they respond to simple communication differently, how they respond to sex differently, how they respond to stress differently.
I'm just signing up for this right stinking now. It's communication is 90% of it.
Oh, it completely.
Is. In our relationships are like that. What's the expectation? How do I speak in it? Am I speaking in a way that my wife can understand me and vice versa?
Yeah, because guess what? Good marriages happen on purpose, people.
What?
Yeah, it's not about just finding the one, and you can over-romanticize that or you can over-spiritualize that. Because I've heard people, this must not be the one that God wanted for me because I'm not happy. It's like, well, first off,
I think I'll trade him in.
Where did it reading through the Bible that God just wants you to be happy the whole time? I mean, aren't we followers of Jesus Christ? Right?
Yeah. Did you study the lives of the apostles? Those guys weren't exactly coming up sunshine every day of their life.
Did Jesus ever have relational problems? Ooh. I'm pretty sure he had a buddy named Judas.
Yeah.
That didn't don't put yourself above that and think everything should just be perfect. So it's going through and we hit, communication, talk about that, what you were just talking about with the brains thing, Tale of Two Brains, do the number one key to incredible sex, talk about how, how our culture has a thing now where they think it'll work if you are compatible. Like if you're compatible, if we can find out if we're compatible, then it'll just work. And it's like, well, no, becoming compatible is you work towards that. It's not something that just happens. So it's called becoming compatible. And then finish with how to stay married and not kill anyone. Which is all about not letting bitterness and resentment get in there and stuff. But go through. But the whole thing, and here's the thing is, as you mentioned with the whole men being spiritual, head of the house. You get the same things of how come my husband doesn't want to talk about our relationship, or he doesn't, I'm the only one that tries to make our relationship better, or that, that's because so much of the relationship stuff out there is probably geared towards women, right? You tend
Yeah,
to
it's true.
to sell
Because
to
women
the
are more
audience that you
relational,
have.
so it
They're
makes
more
sense. I mean, if
relational.
you're not gonna write a best-selling book about marriage and have the men be the ones to go out and make it a bestseller. The ones that make it the bestseller are the women, right?
It's the truth.
Generally true.
Yeah. So when my dad first started putting this thing together, I remember him talking to me about like, dude, I need to make something that's man friendly, that doesn't beat up on men for not being like their wives, and kind of just using humor through that often helps. But it just goes through everything. A lot of it, especially for the guys, if the guys understood, I spend a lot of time getting the women to understand the men. And because that's often where a lot of women get upset, is they don't understand, well, why is he not doing this? Why is he not? And you sit there and explain, this is how he operates. This is how, and it's great. But yeah, go through it as well. Explain
So
to the
good.
guys, like, no one gets off the hook. This is how you need. Yes, you need to talk to your wife, and you need to listen to her, and you need to, teaching them how to be better listeners.
These are those conferences you go to, and you always see like somebody's like smacking them on the list. I told you, it's not just me. It's not just me. Yeah, years ago, I wrote a book years ago called The Busy Homeschool Mom's Guide to Romance, right? Just talking about marriage. And somehow, like your dad, I became like the Dr. Ruth for homeschool families for like,
that's good.
Forever, never, never, right? Because I was actually just honestly saying this is an issue inside a marriage, and maybe these are some things that we should be talking about and thinking about. And so often, what we discover as we get older, especially, is, oh, hey, if I just would have put a little bit of effort into it on the front side, or maybe been a little bit more willing to just go, maybe I have this wrong. Then it's amazing. You ever see that guy on Instagram, that 40-year-old guy? Who's like, you mean to tell me that for 40 years I've been doing, I've been opening my can of tomato sauce this way. And if I just would have turned the can a quarter of an inch the other direction, remember that guy? And he's like, no, ain't no way. He always says, ain't no way. And then he goes and he tries it and he's like, oh, well, shoot, it works. I kind of feel like this is going to be like an ain't no way weekend. Like, ain't no way. Right. Yeah. You mean to tell me that for 15 years I could have done this and my wife would have responded to me? Ain't no way. Right. I kind of think that's what you're going to do.
We hear that all the time. It's kind of funny because there'll be a lot of the stuff. When I first started doing this, I'm thinking like, oh, I'll change this up. I'll change that up. My dad's telling me, man, I would still do this way, do that way. And I'm like, really?
If it ain't broke, don't break it.
Yeah. And so I would go out there and do it because in my mind, right, it's been my life for like 20 years, since I got married. I've been around this stuff, hearing it, whatever. It doesn't mean I get it right all the time either, by the way. But
I noticed your wife's not on here to defend herself.
But I go out there and I'm sharing this stuff, and you see so many light bulbs come on, and people come up to me, man, we've been married 30 years, 40 years. Oh my goodness. You just helped explain to me my husband. He would tell me that. And here's the thing, guys. You'll say that your wife doesn't believe you. I tell her, and it's like, well, maybe it's right. Maybe he's not kidding. And
it's like parenting.
Yeah. You hear
you say the thing to your kid like 100 times, but then somebody else says it and they're like, Mom, Dad, I just heard this revolutionary idea. Oh, awesome.
That sounds familiar.
Amazing. Okay, well, glad I could be of assistance.
The other great thing about it is when you're sitting there with all these other couples and you see everyone's laughing, everyone's poking each other and laughing, it helps you realize, oh, all marriages deal with the same stuff.
Yeah, we're not alone.
I know you think you're married to some unique, because I'm sure you've dealt with this too, right? You have husband or wife comes to you and they sit there and like they need to tell you the story. And it's like they probably get into it 30 seconds, and I bet you could say, pause right there, and I can tell you exactly what you're going to say, what the problem is. But you have to sit there and let them go through it because they're convinced. But you don't understand my husband, or you don't understand what my wife's doing.
They got the new problem. This is the new iteration. Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's all the same, man. We deal with it. I deal with it. Or you hear women, they'll get, when they've just someone get in and they're so mad at their husband, and they're livid. They've had it, and then they go and explain it. And I sit there and I'm thinking, oh my Lord, she's sort of describing me. It's like I kind of do that, and
I
you're
sort of
just
do. Dude, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, even today, and I told this to Jim Ramos last time he was on my show. I was like, well, shoot, I got to go home and work on that thing. Cause he just said the thing that I was like, okay, that's me. I do that.
yeah,
Like and I think the cool thing about that, Phil, is that we're always going to have areas where we need to grow. I don't think that we're ever going to just arrive where we don't
no,
annoy the other person or we finally figured it out. And that's why these things, these like marriage tune-up weekends are so important no matter where you are in the stage. I mean, if Jay and I can learn and grow at 35 years of marriage, for sure, we can all just learn and grow. And I think that's what we want, right? You don't want to like, just barely make it to the end of this life and just be grumpy and irritable with the person that God gave you, right? Wouldn't it be cool if we still loved each other at the end of the day?
yeah. It's such an important thing because marriage is tough, but it also can be a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, marriage, it makes, especially for men, guys, it makes you better. Most married guys, most all statistics, you live longer, you're healthier, happier, make more money, you're
Yeah.
better at relationships
If
in
you're not
general
married to
because of
the
that
dripping
stuff, right?
faucet, that'll
Yeah,
kind of, maybe
but
not live so
you
long.
do it well. And Ecclesiastes, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy these
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
with your wife, with your spouse. So
Yeah.
it's because it can be a grind. You can get into a grind, and
Yeah.
we all have to go through it. So take some time to enjoy some things. Get out and laugh a little bit with her. You might
Yeah.
kind of remember why you like each other. When you
Yeah.
get out and you kind of
So
just
good.
sit and spend some time with you. But yes, I agree. It is a job that you never retire from.
Yep, it is. And it's well worth investing in, just like your truck.
Yes.
Just like your truck. And we want to just keep that bad boy running and enjoying the journey. And the key is just hanging in there. Well, I'm really excited, Phil, for you to come out here in just about a month now. It's not very
Yep.
long from
Nope.
now. And we're just gonna. I can't wait to see who God brings. We've actually got a special arrangement with the Hampton Inn, which is right next door, so people can literally walk from the hotel to the event center. And I'm telling them, I said, like, they got a saltwater pool. Come a couple days early. They'll serve you
Oh,
dinner if you come
completely.
in a little bit early. They do dinner, I think, 3 or 4 nights a week over there. There's a million places to eat around here. A little change of scenery is good for a marriage.
It's so nice. I mean, what's funny is doing these we started traveling doing these marriage events. I still can't do as many as my dad does because I have kids at home. And I got real busy one year and then I just was missing too much stuff. So
It's important.
I try to be specific about where I want to go. And I love heading out to Vancouver. So that whole area. So I'm excited to get out there. But one of the things my wife and I love is just when we go out and, we're working, we're doing the ministry and everything, just getting that weekend away, even if it's just 2 days,
Yeah.
and you just get away from everything else. And it's tough, because you got to do all the work. I get it, right? To get your kids taken care of and making sure
Then
they'll
you got
still
to
be alive
re-enter.
when you
I
come
always tell the
back.
women, hey, you're going home, re-entry. Just nobody did the dishes. I'm just telling you now.
Yes. Yeah.
You're going to go home and nobody did the dishes. And you said, please put the clothes from the washing machine into the dryer. And they didn't do it. I'm just telling you right now. Clothes are molding in there.
100%.
Yeah. And so you have to sort of be ready for that. And no, I think sort of the enemy loves to sort of pick at you, right? Take this really awesome thing that happened over the weekend and just ruin it because no one did the dishes. So you got to be ready.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But when you get that time away, and especially if you haven't had it for a while, it's just such a great reset. I mean, just the time alone with your spouse is so great, and especially because you get so busy, you don't always make time for that. And so often, and this is what's been sad. You talked about. There's been such an attack on marriages. I've felt it, especially as a pastor, having these couples come in and you just, your heart aches for them and just marriage is falling apart. And it's like so many of these people, and really what it is they put all of their focus and all their attention and everything else in their life that they thought was important. My job's important. My kids are important. And these are successful people. It's not like these people are a mess. They're good Christians. And it's not because they're bad Christians. It's not because they're bad people. But they put their emphasis on everything else and kept thinking the marriage will be okay. Marriage will be okay. Marriage will be okay. Man, you do that for 7 years.
And your marriage is not going to
look
be
over
okay.
and it's not going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
and it's in a bad spot. So I don't want to see people get that. So listen, this is laugh your way to a better marriage, not laugh your way just out of an awful marriage. So if you think, yeah, I want to keep having a better marriage, come on out, make the time, have fun with it. And I promise you, it's, there'll be no emotional breakout sessions for the guys. If I'm not going to ask any of the guys to write down, a love poem and ask them, some guys, because there's experiences like that. And some people love that.
I know.
And I'm not
Dude,
against
my
that.
husband would be like, "Oh no to the no, no, no." We're not
I
doing
would
that.
be as well. That's why I promise you I
Yeah.
won't do that. Just come, sit, laugh, listen, and learn. And we'll have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Phil Gungor, just been a delight to have you on the show. I have a funny feeling we are going to have a hoot and holler and good time when you come to Vancouver on the 16th and 17th of February. So I'm looking forward to having you here. Thanks for coming on the show. Let's do it again.
Woo woo.
You guys want more information on today's guest? I'll link back to him in the show notes today, but I want to remind you, you can register right now at firmlyplantedfamily.com/events. Laugh your way to a better marriage, February 16th and 17th. It's a couples comedy weekend. You are not going to want to miss it. We're going to have a great time. We will also put the link there to the Hampton Inn, and if you want the discount, that is the link that you need to use. So please head on over to the show notes for that. If you guys got questions for me, you know how to do it. HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. You guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.